Yo kids, my maths walkthrough on the quadratic formula. So I printed off the pages, and this is what you see for question 1. They give you the formula, and as I told you in yesterday's lesson, you don't need to memorize that. It's on the front of all GCSE papers, but it is pretty cool if you do remember it, so learn it please. And as we spoke about in yesterday's lesson, the coefficient, which means the number in front of, the coefficient of x squared is the letter A, the coefficient of the x term is the letter B, and then the number on its own is the letter C. And of course, what's very important is it must be rearranged in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So if you find a question and the quadratic doesn't equal 0, you will have to bring everything over from the right-hand side and tidy it up. Right, this one's quite easy. I'll do this one. I'm not going to do both, right, but I'll do this one. So there's no number in front of that x squared. And of course, the biggest misconception here then is it's a 0, but it's not. The number in front of a letter, if there isn't a number, is 1. So A here is 1. B is the number in front of x, and it's a positive 7. And C is the last number on its own. And you must include that minus there, right? So C is minus 1. Then it says substitute these values into that formula and solve the equation. And it says here, round your answers where necessary to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to rewrite this out. And instead of writing the letter B, I'm going to write the number 7. Instead of writing A, I'm going to put 1. And instead of writing C, I'm going to put minus 1. All right, now I'll do it very slowly, step by step. I would normally cut corners. Once you get good at it, you can cut corners. But we won't on this one, right? So x equals, right, minus B. So it's minus 7, not plus 7 now. Plus or minus the square root of B squared, which is 7 squared. Take away. Now I always put this bit in brackets, right, just to make it a little, so you don't mess up with your minuses. 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is minus 1. And all of that is divided by 2 times A, which is 1. Now, knowing you lot as I do, most of you now will reach for the calculator, but I thoroughly advise you don't. I thoroughly advise you work out as much of this as you can without the calculator. So I can simplify this. I know that 7 squared is 49. Don't need a calculator for that. I know that 4 times 1 is 4. And 4 times minus 1 is minus 4. So I now have that. I also know, because I know my 2 times table, that 2 times 1 is 2. Now I can still simplify that further again before I reach for my calculator. So that's minus 7 plus or minus, right. Now 2 minuses make a plus, you know that. So 49 plus 4 is 53, and that's all over 2. Now at this point, I would say go get the calculator. And as if by magic, here's mine. Okay, so I'm going to type in the calculator, minus 7 plus root 53, get that answer divided by 2. And then I'm going to type in minus 7 minus root 53, get that answer, and divide it by 2. Okay. But don't forget, even though we say minus 7, don't use your minus sign. All right, use your negative sign. So it's negative 7 plus square root 53 equals, and then divide that by 2, and that is 0.14. Now it did say only go to 1 dp or better, so I'm going to go to 2 dp's. So that's one answer. Or the other answer is negative 7 minus square root of 53, which is that. Divide that by 2 is minus 7.14. Okay, now that's not hard, is it? Right? The calculator does most of the juicy stuff. You just got to substitute in values of A, B, and C, and be careful with your minus signs. So there's 2 of those for you to do on the first my maths question. I'm not going to do the second one. You can do it, right? In this case, A is 3. In this case, B is minus 8. And in this case, C is minus 6. I will say be careful with this value of b. If b is minus 8, when you put it in at the start, that's minus 8, which is plus 8. So be careful with that, right? For this question here, my first value there would be plus 8 because it's minus. Right, let's look at the ones over the page. So the ones over the page are just more of the same. They're just asking you to practice, right? As you can see, they're all equal to 0. So we don't have to do any extra tidying up or moving around. Excuse me. All of these ones, A is 1. We have a mixture of positive B's and negative B's. And we have a mixture of negative C's and a positive C. And the only reason these are slightly different is for these questions, A is not 1. A is 3 for this, 5 for this, and 6 for this, right? So let's pick a random one. Right, we'll do the middle one here. So I'm going to do the solutions for this one and show you how easy it is. So A is 5, B equals 10, and C equals minus 9. So rewrite out the quadratic formula. But for every B, put a 10. For every A, put a 5. For every C, put a minus 9. So x equals minus 10. And then B squared, 10 squared, minus. Now stick to my tip here. Put brackets in here now. Into 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is minus 9. And all of that has to be divided by 2 times A. But please don't go for the calculator yet. Okay, especially it's important at A level you'll be able to narrow this down without the calculator yet. So let's tidy it up. So x equals minus 10 plus or minus. Right. 10 squared is 100. 4 5s are 20. 29s are 180. So that's minus 180. So that's plus 180. And 2 5s are 10. So that's minus 10 plus or minus the square root of 280 all over 10. Now get your calculator. Don't forget to use that negative button, not the minus button. So that's negative 10 plus square root of 280 equals that. Divided by 10 equals that. 0.67, or negative 10 minus the square root of 280 equals that, divided by 10 equals that, minus, excuse me, 2.67. For all of these questions, the calculator does all the duty stuff. Just got to get your values of A, B, and C right. Substitute them into the equation slowly and carefully, and don't mess up with your minuses. Okay, this is an easy A-grade topic, one that's guaranteed to appear on the calculator paper. So please get a green. If it takes more than one go, then do it more than once, please. I want greens only this week on this. Thank you to all of those who came to yesterday's live lesson. And I will see you at the next one.